Hi, it's Eric Vessels with What They Think, and I'm here with Jerry Scher of Peak Focus. Thanks again for joining us, Jerry.
Good to be here.
Always good to talk to you. We've talked in the past a little bit about recruiting and assessment and bringing in talent. I'd like you to talk a little bit. You've written some articles about a multi-generational workforce and how to manage that and how to recruit for that and how that works in your business. Maybe talk a little bit about the impact of this multi-generational workforce and how to manage it.
All right, well, to begin with, when I refer to multi-generational,
it's you and I.
It's you and I. Well, there's one more person in the equation. We're talking about the baby boomer generation. We then the group that came after them, the Gen X's, and then now we have the millennials. And the reality is, when you take a look at the size of those generations within the workforce, the baby boomer generation represents probably around 70 million of the U.S. population.
Okay.
When you look at the Gen X population, it's a bit smaller. It's just around the high 50s to 60 million.
And millennials have gone back
and
up?
And millennials are close to 100 million.
Yeah.
Okay? So obviously they're a force to be reckoned with. And they're in the workforce, and they typically are up to about 35 years old and down into the late teens. And so, one, we have to recognize that each of these generations look at work differently. And being able to take a look at the way in which they not only want to work and what types of companies they want to work in, it really helps drive the way in which we're going to recruit them going forward. I think for the graphic communications industry, especially where there's so much emphasis on technology, the millennial generation has grown up with that technology.
They're
baby boomers.
They're digital natives, as we call them.
Exactly, and they are the group that we have to figure out how to reach, and recruiting them requires a whole new approach to recruiting and attracting. So it's a real challenge at this point.
So what are some of the ways that the tools that you use help in that recruiting process to be able to deal with this multi-generational workforce?
Yeah, well, the part of the recruiting process that we get engaged in is where we assess individuals as to how suitable they are to a specific job. And so while the process remains the same with either one of those three generations, within the millennial group, in order to attract these folks, we have to create an atmosphere based on the kind of work environment they want to be in. So we not only test for behavioral competencies, we also test for work preferences. In other words, what's the cultural environment they want to be a part of? And we test for interests, because interest drives motivation. And then finally, we want to be able to recognize the fact that the millennials are very interested in self-improvement. They want to be trained. They want to know what kind of training they're going to receive when they join a company, and they want to be mentored. And so that's a very different set of requirements that you have to look for.
So and these are all typically sales type positions, am I right, that you're helping companies with, or are there other areas? Actually,
we within the library of the Harrison job templates, we have over 6,000 job templates. Everything from IT positions to production positions to senior management, middle management, finance. I personally do a great deal of work on the sales side because that seems to be a significant need right now.
Sure, absolutely. Bring in the sales, and that's where the revenue's at.
And and after being in this industry for over 35 years, I've kind of gotten a good handle on what these folks are looking for.
Right. Well, we appreciate you sharing some of those insights, and I know multi-generational workforce is something that is a reality for people, and appreciate you sharing some thoughts.
Very good. Thanks for having me.